What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Wait, What Are We Talking About podcast, episode 148. My name is Bret, aka Enigma911, and today, guess who's back? Back again. It's Jeff at Jeffreg Gaming. Jeff, how's it going? Jeff's popping on again. We're a little late recording. He's awesome though, so we're popping on for some interesting topics. If you guys want to catch the podcast live, you can always go to twitch.tv/Enigma9011, usually every Sunday. 8 p.m. Eastern, you join the chat over there, join the conversation. We'd love to have you in on all the fun. But if you can't catch it live, that's A-OK. Go over to YouTube and podcast services the very next week, where it's broken out topic by topic and put as one big video in MP3 for your amusement on the following Friday. Last but not least, hashtag ad merch store. Get all your swag over there. T-shirts, cups, backpacks, and more. Rep the brand, support us, and we would love you for it. I guess not last but not least. Any way you can support really, really helps. Wherever you're listening to this or watching it, whether it's a review, a like, a comment, even a share, it may seem small, but it does go a long way.
Perishable canned foods.
There you go. Whatever it is, it may seem small, but it does go a long way. So whatever you could do, thank you for that. So, Jeff, I guess just to start off, how you doing today?
I am good. I am tired. Despite going to bed extra early last night, I started a new training thing at work, and it was like 6 hours of just like terms that I should not. I feel like nobody would trust me knowing, first off.
Oof. Well,
it's all like financial stuff. So.
Gotcha. Hopefully it gets easier.
I can't get into it too much.
Yeah, for sure. Well, speaking of getting into it, let's get into our first topic. Today, topic one, we are going to be talking about video game genres and I guess what games really stand out in terms of their genre, and then I guess our personal favorites from each of those genres, correct?
Yeah, so the idea was like, it's not quite a tier list, but like, okay, here's a genre, like, what is like the crystallization of that, perfect encapsulation of that? And then what do you think like is overall like in the industry like the leading example?
Sure. So yeah, we have an okay list here of titles, or at least genres we're going to go through. We'll discuss obviously everything, and like Jeff said, we'll pick our personal favorites, but then obviously what we think is the big one, at least that everybody would think about. So our first genre is going to be sandbox games. So Jeff, what would you, for yourself, consider some?
When you say sandbox, like, are you talking like just open world, do anything? Because like that can be Minecraft, or that could be Grand Theft Auto, or that could be like Gmod.
True. Yeah. A few of these topics I feel like they're, or not topics, a few of these genres I feel kind of do that overlapping. So for mine, for example, and I mean, I guess it can be anything, just that, you know, you're in this world and what do you want to do with? The ones I thought about were Minecraft, just because there's no real objective until they added, I guess, the end later on. Like, it's build, it's survival, whatever it is. So I had that one, and then another one that I kind of shouted out as one of my favorites was Roller Coaster Tycoon, because it's just, let's build a theme park and then deal with all the like customers and throughput and ticket prices, and they're yakking on the floor, crap, gotta go clean that up. So those were the type of games that I was thinking about for sandbox.
Yeah, I guess I would consider like Roller Coaster Tycoon more of a sim
Fair.
style game, like a management sim, but I think, yeah, for me, like if it's something you just want to go into and screw around with in a space with your friends, probably Gary's Mod, honestly. Like, I mean, it's certainly the most mod friendly thing, and that's what makes, like, you know, Minecraft and things like that, especially on the PC, a lot of people like it, because you can go in and just have so much control over everything.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I haven't played too much of Gary's Mod. I played a little bit of what was it? TTT, I think, is one of the modes, like the traders in there, and you got to find them, kind of like an Among Us, I guess, but prior to that.
Trouble in Terrorist Town, Gmod Murder.
Yep, exactly.
Pop Hunt, you know, it's like the good version of Roblox with all of the predators.
Yeah.
Yeah. I very specifically did not pick Roblox because of that.
I mean, that's good. So yeah, what would you say, I guess, is the standout?
Well, I think probably, yeah, for like for me, like thinking about like that kind of game, it's probably. I mean, you could almost say VR chat, you know?
Okay.
Or like when it was a thing, like PlayStation Home.
Mm.
But for me, like the one that seems like the most fun that I've seen the most people do is definitely like the various things you can do in Gary's mod. For the one that I like, my personal favorite, probably. I actually am not sure because I haven't played a ton of like what I consider like a fully pure sandbox game,
Mm-hmm.
where there is no real stated goal. It's just do whatever you want in it with the tools you're given.
Yeah.
The one I probably spent the most time with is probably still, which isn't. I don't know if that's saying a lot necessarily. It's, you know, it's like. In that style of game, that's well, you know what? I would almost say, I think I'm gonna switch it. My personal favorite is probably Gary's mod because that's the one that is the most fun. But the like what I would consider like the industry standard, probably Minecraft.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think
that's the one that's most widespread. That like even people who don't play it know what it is.
Right. Yeah, I think I'd definitely agree with that. Minecraft definitely takes the cake. Just because obviously the insane things you could do in that game, like I'm not doing anything like that. My house is always going to be a fucking square of dirt, but like seeing the creative process that people take in the creative mode, obviously flying around making these insane structures and like automated things, just creating and whatever, and obviously the mods upon mods that they've even just added on top of it, whether it's things of like space travel or different animals or the Pokemon, like Pixelmon type kind of hybrid. It's insane. So yeah, I would definitely agree that Minecraft's probably the front-facing one, or at least one people know the most. I think for personal favorite, it's very close to Roller Coaster Tycoon. I think I'm going to go with Planet Coaster. I know that can kind of fit the sim thing like you were saying. But that one... I think
you just like theme parks.
I do.
Like, just go to Six Flags.
Dude, the Disney's coming up March. the clock is ticking down, but yeah, I know. Those games are always fun. I know Planet Coaster seems to have a little bit less objective base compared to the roller coaster games that came before it. But the freedom of that game just to really design and decorate queues or the ride areas itself is just a blast. So let's move over to real-time strategy. So what would you consider for this one?
Now, I think for RTS for the industry standard, I'd probably have to say StarCraft.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Now, for me, my personal favorite, definitely the Ogre Battle series. Probably... Well, I guess RTS, like, where's the crossover between an RTS and, like, a tactics game, you know?
I would consider tactics RTS. I mean,
okay.
I know you're taking turns, but...
Yeah, I guess I would say StarCraft probably, because, I mean, that's still one of the biggest, like, esports games, right? I think.
I feel like it is, yeah.
Yeah, and then, yeah, for me personally... Like, I played Command & Conquer as a kid. I played, I can't think of the name of the other one. It wasn't Advance Wars, it was something else. But, like, for me, the one I liked the most, the one I sunk probably 80 hours into as a kid on the N64 was Ogre Battle 64. Also, I just like that all of the Ogre Battle games, or at least for a long time, they were all named after Queen albums, or Queen songs.
Okay. Yeah, those are all good. I was on a similar train of thought as you, not the StarCraft side, but I flipped it over to Warcraft because I remember playing 1, 2, and 3, just a bunch with my dad, and those were a blast. But if it was personal favorite, I think I got to lean towards Final Fantasy Tactics Advance on the Game Boy. That one I just loved. I didn't beat it as a kid, but went back to it years later and finally played it all the way through. But I just love the different classes of characters that you could get in that one, and then like it was just a whole tree of like, oh, you learn so many skills as a soldier and a thief, you can become a ninja, and then you can become an assassin or whatever the hell. Like it just was, at least at my age, when looking these things up wasn't as readily available. It was like, oh my god, there's this new thing. It was just so cool. So I would say, yeah, Final Fantasy Tactics.
Text file that you have to download.
Yeah. So I'd say that's my favorite. I'm not 100% if I would put StarCraft's definitely up there for recognizable. I've never played this series, but it seems like XCOM is another big one that a lot of people talk about.
Yeah, definitely the resurgence in the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm. And then
Enemy Unknown.
Mm.
I played a little bit of not the first XCOM, obviously, but the first new one. Could not get into it. For some reason, there's only one real RTS series that I've really gotten into. So
yeah, I'm curious because they're working on Marvel's Midnight Suns, that developer, right now, and that comes out next month, I think. I'm curious to see if I'll enjoy that. Obviously, enjoy Marvel a lot, but I'm not sure if I'll like that gameplay. We'll see. All right.
I was gonna say, what's the last movie that came? Avengers. That one.
All right. Moving over to shooters. What do you got for shooters, Jeff? First person, third person, whatever.
Okay, if we're talking first person, for me, personal favorite, probably a tie between Time Splitters 2
mm-hmm.
and Perfect Dark / GoldenEye on the N64. I mean, I remember you get like 4 people and you're all in like Perfect Dark and GoldenEye. You do like rocks, mines only, slappers only, the gun that shoots through walls only, things like that. Like those games were really like just a blast to play with people before you had like consoles had online connections and things like that. For like industry standard, I mean, that's a tough one because you have like, Counter-Strike and all the Modern Warfare and I almost said Call of Warfare and Modern Duty. Whatever it is. See, I'm not even sure that's not the correct thing. But also, and I think this has fallen off in the last years, especially with this most recent game. Like for a long time though, like it was Halo,
Yeah.
Like especially in college, like that's what everybody played was Halo.
Right.
But it's probably, I mean, and the arena games now are becoming more of a thing, like Apex Legends and things like that. Those have taken over a lot to the point where the other games, the firmly entrenched ones, are kind of stealing their style and jazz.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd agree.
Well, I would say I would say like industry standards probably like Call of Warfare or Modern Duty. But like it's because they're like they haven't really changed at all in like the last 10 years until the new like Apex and all that kind of stuff came out, and then they're suddenly like, oh, we gotta adapt all this stuff and let's steal from Fortnite too. And
yeah.
Also probably Fortnite.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree. As for ones that like stood out to me, like Gears of War franchise was a big one. At least 1, 2, 3 had a fantastic story. I never played past that point just because I was gearsed out. Borderlands was another one. The Far Cry series, Overwatch, I love to death and back. Obviously, Overwatch 2 coming out, and then Super Hot was one that kind of.
Oh, everyone knows it's broken. Actually, we're counting as a full release.
What's broken?
Isn't Overwatch 2 like?
The launch week was ass because servers were, I don't know if they were being DDoSed or there's just too many people trying to play, but it works now. But yeah, oof. And then Super Hot is another one that's a blast. I guess you could kind of tie that into puzzle, but with you moving and time moving, just figuring out obviously the things you needed to do in order to clear the the room of all the enemies. That was just a lot of fun. So industry wise, I would say Call of Duty, because you could say that to anybody and they're gonna be like, oh, yep. You know. As for favorite, that's tough. See, I feel like with a lot of these in the list that I have coming up, a lot of them are more recent, and I'm not sure if it's just recency bias or what it is. I'm leaning towards Overwatch on this one, just as favorite, just because I know how many hours I put into that. But then going back to Super Hot, just like how unique that was, even in its story that it did tell, and the gameplay, whether it was the original game or switching over to the VR side. It was just a lot of fun and unique. So I'd probably lean with those two, but Overwatch would probably kick out Super Hot if we had to pick one. All right.
Yeah, Overwatch is pretty obvious. I mean, that's like basically a cross-media mogul at this point.
All right, so probably the genre we both know the most, MOBAs.
Christ.
I have zero experience. Well, okay, maybe not zero. I have minimal experience with MOBAs. I've played that Pokemon Unite one on Switch. It was fine. That's the only one I've played. I would say probably League of Legends is the the most well-known one, but that's all I got for that.
What's the one that has that all those hot girls that made that music video?
That could be anything. Hot girls that
KDA.
made it.
It was like KDA, yeah.
I don't know.
Like half of it was in Korean. It was a couple years old.
No.
Somebody's gonna know this. What, Katie? Okay, hold on. You might be right. Actually, it might be League of Legends.
Yeah, but League's already like expanded past even their games. Like they have that Netflix series that people really liked. Crap, what was that called? Something.
It's made up of characters from 4 female characters from League of Legends.
Okay.
They did that Pop Stars song.
Huh. Interesting.
Watch it. I get stuck in your head if you don't remember it.
Okay. So yeah, MOBAs. All right.
That's my pick for the one that seems the most, because they got music videos and a real life band, and that's the one that I pick as my favorite because I like watching CGI girls dance around in like ninja clothing.
There you go. Best role-playing game, or I guess just the genre, role-playing game. What you got?
I mean, if you're going classic, the industry standard is probably Final Fantasy. There've been a lot of ones that have come close over the years, especially like back when Square and Enix weren't the same company.
Yep.
But yeah, like I don't know how you can say anything is like not the face of the, especially like the JRPG genre, that isn't Final Fantasy. I mean, you could probably even boil that down to specifically Final Fantasy VII as a media franchise.
Right.
For me, my personal favorite, Final Fantasy X was the first game I ever actually beat, but I also have a really soft spot for Roddy Auto Stories on the PS2, and then there was a series of Game Boy Advance games, Golden Sun series.
Oh yeah.
I loved those. And the fact that they had this, the story was so big, they had to split it into 2 games, and you had to carry it over with like a 26-digit alphanumeric code.
Cool. All right. Let's see. I had listed down Skyrim, Elden Ring, and Pokemon.
Is Elden Ring RPG?
I just did a quick search of like role-playing games. I mean, kind of. You are building a character in there and going through the world.
Yeah, but you're no matter what character you're building, it's some variation of fighter, whether it's like spell sword or full-on fighter.
No, you can do magic.
You don't build a healer.
You don't build a healer, but you do a magic build.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, but it's still damage dealing.
Well, okay.
Don't do a crowd control magic build.
All right. Well, fine. Yeah, Skyrim was cool. I remember hopping into that just because anyone was talking about that in college, and I got FOMO hard. from the time I put into it, it's been a lot of fun. I never have beaten it personally, but that was blast. And then Pokemon, many of hours over many of iterations of Pokemon. So I would think that one. I don't know, like, if I'd say it's up there in popularity, but I don't know if you went to the average person and said name a role playing game, they would say Pokemon first. Like, I agree with you that Final Fantasy might be a little bit more well known.
Because, like, when you think role-playing game, like, it's different characters that have different roles. And you can't use one Pokemon to heal another Pokemon in a fight, you know?
Yeah, you can, Jeff. Tag team battles, doubles, come on.
Do we want to get back into, like, me talking about Pokemon?
Well, you don't know there's 2v2s introduced in Gen 3 on the Game Boy Advance, Ruby and Sapphire.
I said it the other day. I said it during my rant. Said it during my rant, and I stand by my words.
I'm just saying, you can.
Pokemon has not changed since it came out. Hey, there's two Pokemon. You said a buddy to dog fight with.
Okay, you just mentioned a point, and then I mentioned that you can do it. That was all. Moving on. Simulation and sports. Yeah.
Simulation sports. Well, I mean, when I think simulation and sports, like the simulation part, that makes me think like fucking Bella's Pro Fucker or whatever. Which, you know, those are good when you're a kid and you've got like, let's play Golden Tee. I got 2 quarters from my mom. For me, personal favorite, is gonna probably be the Mutant League series, especially the 2 originals, Mutant League Football and Mutant League Hockey, and they fall into simulation as well because they simulate what would happen if you threw a dead body on top of a grenade. You can do that, or a robot on top of a grenade. They lay dormant for a really long time, and then like Mutant League Football came out in the last like 5 years. I haven't really gotten into it because they got a lot more serious about the sports aspect. Which is like, I just want to kill enough of the other team until I win by default. I don't want to like come up with plays and stats. And
right.
For industry standard, I would say probably. I mean, I'm sure it's like Madden, something like that, but also like the WWE 2K games. Those always make a big splash or make a big stink when they release, depending on how much they actually fixed in the previous version. How much more they broke.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. Madden's probably the top one. I also had NBA as probably one of the bigger ones as well. And then as for personal favorites, ones I thought of were Wii Sports and then Tony Hawk Pro Skater. So I'd probably put Pro Skater above Wii Sports. Like, don't get me wrong, Wii Sports was fantastic. But just for, I don't know, even just recognize how recognizable Tony Hawk is. And Pro Skater 1 and 2. And then obviously the remake that Activision did not too long ago was fantastic. Just a lot of fun. And just a lot of memories wrapped into that one. Going over to friends' houses, playing on the PS1. And then diving back into it later, just like it fell right back into place. Like everything just clicked. Like obviously it was upped, rezzed, and polished and whatnot, but it felt like essentially the same game, and it was a blast. So moving on to puzzle and party games. So I had Mario Party, I had Portal, I had Overcooked, and then I had Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, all these games are great.
I expect you to die.
What's up?
I expect you to die.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I'll let you finish.
Okay. All of them are great. I'd say for probably the biggest one, I'd probably lean towards Mario Party. Obviously, we've had 11 of those things, and they're fun. There's ups and downs with each of them. I mean, it seems.
3, 4, 5, 6.
Oh, you didn't like the GameCube ones?
Some of them. I think anything after Double Dash though, like especially when you got to the one where everyone's in the car together.
Mario Kart, you're talking?
No, 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 no. Oh,
Well, you said
yeah.
Double Dash. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. That's the when I think Mario GameCube for whatever reason I think that.
Fair. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. When everybody's in the same cart and they weren't going on the board on their own, yeah, that was big trash. That started in 9, I think, and then 10 had it, and it was but 10 had you versus Bowser, which was a lot of fun if you had enough people to play. And then Superstar, whatever the Switch ones, those got back to form. Yeah. So yeah.
So that one you can kind of just go everywhere.
And
then Superstar, yeah, that's just the old.
Yeah. So yeah, I'd say probably that's the top, and then I'd say for my favorite, I think Overcooked, just because that came out of nowhere, and yelling at each other that you need certain ingredients or things aren't being taken care of. So Overcooked and Overcooked 2, just a blast. I hope they're working on a third, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I would say for party game, like possible, like well, I consider party and puzzle different though.
Sure.
Party game definitely Mario Party the series as a whole with take a couple of them out of there. I mean, like those games have been ruining friendships and enraging wives. Since I was in junior high. And that's probably like my personal favorite too. I did get a lot of time out of SingStar, PS2, in college. But also, we were, in college and drinking a lot. So no one could tell if anyone was singing that.
Mm-hmm.
I was once told it sounded like I was singing through an onion.
Oh, okay.
Puzzle game, Portal, definitely. There have been a lot of good ones in the last couple years that like mess with like how your perceptions of what a game is, like Superliminal, for instance.
Yep.
I would even say Super Hot is a puzzle game.
Sure.
Yeah, no, it's hard because it's been a while since there was a big one that came out a few years ago. Witness.
Oh.
The entire game is just an island. It's nothing but puzzles.
Yeah.
But probably like my personal favorite, probably Portal 2.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of fun playing that with people. The storyline's good. The game is amazingly well written. And then I'm gonna say for the industry standard in a puzzle game, I'm gonna just say Tetris.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. For sure. Yeah. All right, moving on.
Nothing can be more difficult and infuriating at higher
levels. Yeah, if you even get to that point. Tetris. Moving over to action adventure. This is another one I felt like I leaned heavily on like the recency. So I'd God of War 2018, Jedi Fallen Order, Ghost of Tsushima, the Arkham series, and BioShock as some of my favorites. Boy, I think it's I think I definitely have to put the Arkham series as my top. If I had to pick a specific game, crap. See, this is always a debate, like which one's the best Arkham game? Like, I like City. I don't know if I like City as much as the other ones, and that might just because
he has a little too much bloat.
Well, when I first got City, oh boy, when I was in college, like I was absorbing everything up until release, and then I played it like nonstop that weekend and blasted through it, and I was like, oh, that was it. And I'm sure it was because I'm just pumping hours into it, so yeah, no shit, it's gonna go by quick. So I'm not sure if it's just my memory of the first time playing it, how short, quote unquote, it was. Asylum was great just because it had that horror suspense aspect to it as well. And then Night
redefined like the third person beat 'em up genre.
Exactly. And then Night, I really like Night. I haven't gone back and played it yet, but like I like the tank. I know some people are 50-50 on the tank. The city felt great. I personally liked all the different side stories, which I mean, granted, the whole Arkham series has had those side stories except for Asylum because you're on the island. which I liked exploring the different characters of Batman, learning about that, and just having the different things that you need to take care of. So if I had to pick one, I think I'll go Asylum just because of the unease I felt playing it as someone who didn't play a lot of horror games during that time. Like how they depicted obviously Scarecrow and then Joker at points during that, I was on the edge of my seat, especially the Scarecrow stuff. I was like, I'm gonna piss my pants. But it was a great game.
Even as you like unlock the Chronicles of Arkham, like just reading that,
yeah,
seeing where that goes, like that's just that whole game is steep.
For sure. So yeah, Asylum would be my personal favorite. I guess Zelda would be industry, like, well known, probably. I don't know which one specifically, but like I feel like if you say Zelda, people are gonna know that.
Zelda's the one in the green, right? Yeah, so there's a little bit of a difference to you in there because you said BioShock. I wouldn't consider BioShock action adventure. I'd consider it like a action shooter.
Okay.
You know, like for me, action adventure most of the time isn't gonna be a first person game. It's gonna be some kind of third person. So yeah, you have your Zelda, which is not an RPG, although the second one did have a lot of RPG elements in it. You have your Arkham games and what they led to, God of War, like the modern God of War, things like that. Though I would consider those more of a, like, God of War definitely closer to action adventure, but that pulled some like Souls things into it that weren't around when Arkham Asylum came out. Arkham Asylum, I would say it's more of a just a straight up like action beat 'em up. Action adventure. Fable, I would say, because I don't think Fable's actually a role-playing game. Like you can build a fighter or a wizard character, but you don't have stats that you individually level. Like you don't allocate points or things like that, you know? I'm trying to think. Action adventure. And then you've got all the ones that I, like as a kid, I loved, like Golden Axe, all the 2D side scrollers, which a lot of those were also beat 'em ups. But those are all really good as well. I'm gonna say for my personal favorite action adventure, probably Zelda. With the understanding that I don't consider Zelda to be a role-playing game. If anything, you take the role of Link, which isn't like a role, it's a character. And then industry standard. Yeah, I mean, well, no, you know what? I was gonna say, if I'm counting like BioWare as that, but then like it's like Mass Effect, but no, Mass Effect is definitely a role-playing action role-playing game. Probably still Zelda.
Right. Fair enough.
In the things that like would just strictly be like action adventure that you can't sort of bleed into other genres. Like, I mean, yeah, it's got puzzles, but that's just part of like the dungeon crawler aspect of it. That doesn't, it's not a dungeon crawler, especially Breath of the Wild. I mean, if anything, that's a walking around the park simulator. I don't know. That's a hard one, yeah.
Yeah.
Just because there's so many things that could be action adventure, like, what would you call Death Stranding?
Oh, yeah. A walking simulator. Oh boy, I gotta get back to that eventually. All right, moving on to our next genre, we have horror. So yeah, I don't have a ton of experience.
Another packed field full of strong contenders.
Yeah, I mean, you with Spooky Tover, you're right in the thick of it. In the thick of it. So I don't have a lot of experience.
In a row, I've woken up screaming.
Ooh, that's not good. So I would say standard's got to be Resident Evil. I feel like that's probably most well-known one. As for favorites, I had RE7 put down, RE2 remake, and then I don't know if it's a personal favorite, but I feel like another one like a lot of people know, and I know it's not everybody's favorite, but Five Nights at Freddy's, like obviously that brought something new to the table, and everybody was playing that, whether it was the content creation side or watching it. Playing it myself, God, that sucked. Whether it was the original or the VR component. I haven't dove into the later ones, which I assume are even more scary. But yeah, so personal favorite, I think, is RE7, just because for me, that was kind of the entry point, which seems weird, because, like, obviously, well, 7, but it was a fresh point.
Right.
It was a fresh point of the story until obviously some ties come in later. Like it was a new character, it was a new story. I really enjoyed the content creators I watched diving into the game and then playing myself. Like it was just a lot of fun. Playing the VR mode was terrifying in that game. And I don't like just being immersed in that world was insane. Just every step you take and things you're bumping into making noise, and obviously the characters you're going to run into with the bakers and eventually their version of the zombies or whatever the fuck they were called, like
Molded.
yeah, the molded, thank you, was terrifying. But then yeah, it just led into me diving into more of the Resident Evil series, as I mentioned, RE2 remake, RE3 remake, or Resident Evil Village, eventually RE4s, diving into a series that I missed growing up, and just because it wasn't my cup of tea. So yeah, I think 7 would be my personal favorite out of that.
Yeah, I mean, Resident Evil is definitely a strong thing. So for me, horror kind of goes, there's a timeline aspect to it, because like I remember being a little kid and playing like the Friday the 13th game on the Nintendo with like Jason with the green skin and the purple mask.
Yeah.
Trying to save the counselors. And then like the next big ones that came out were Resident Evil and Silent Hill, on the N64 and PlayStation. And the first one I ever played was the RE1 remake on GameCube.
Mm-hmm.
And I could not get more than like an hour into the game, maybe if that. It just freaked me out too badly. Then those games started to change. Both of them, like Silent Hill and Resident Evil 4, they got more action oriented and less like survival horror. Those aspects went away for a while until they started to come back, like we saw with Resident Evil 7 and Village. But before that, it switched over. Like there wasn't really horror games were just kind of actiony for a while, and then two things happened. We got the games that are like first-person reaction, they kind of make you feel powerless, like Five Nights at Freddy's, things like that. The game, especially with VR when that came out, like the don't jump simulators and things like that, or just a spider coming down. And then narrative horror games like Until Dawn and that series. Those are a really big one for me. And then I think now we're getting into a mix of the sort of the Resident Evil 2 and 3 remakes, like everything they took from Resident Evil 7. That combined with the Until Dawn Quarry narrative style thing, to the point where like the Resident Evil Village Gold is getting a third-person view, a la the Resident Evil 2 and 3 remake. One of the newly announced Silent Hill games is a narrative game where like you make the choices, but you don't really control a lot of the immediate action and things like that. It's quick time events and things like that. And the new other one, which is looking like Silent Hill F, which is looking like it's just going to be a standard sort of Silent Hill game. Industry standard, I would say like Resident Evil's a good choice. So is Five Nights at Freddy's. Right now, I would say probably like looking at what's getting the most play and like what the most things are trying to copy. Right now, and this is probably a short-lived thing. I don't know how much longer this is going to be a thing. Phasmophobia. Because it combines the party aspects, and it's like it's good and scary, but there's like puzzle aspects too, investigation stuff. To the point where like even Mortuary Assistant has those investigation aspects that you have to figure out like what's going on. And you have a certain amount of time and things like that. Personal favorites probably gonna be. I mean, who am I kidding? I love them all. I couldn't pick a favorite. Probably Dead Space. If you're looking at like a shooter one, or Alien Isolation, is the ones that have made me the most terrified.
Yeah.
It's not really that I can pick a favorite because like they're all special to me in different ways. I love the Alien movies, and Alien Isolation terrified me so much it took me like 4 years to beat. Phasmophobia is a lot of fun to get freaked out with your friends. The Resident Evil series, at least the first couple games, and then if you skip like 4, 5, and 6 for me personally, and then you jump back in after that point. Awesome, amazing games, great lore, great world building. Silent Hill 2 is just one of the scariest all-time games ever. Getting at that remake by Bloober Team, I'm really looking forward to. It's hard to say. I mean, I even like the Faith.exe games, and those just look like they were built for an Atari. So I couldn't pick one.
Fair enough. All right, next genre is going to be platformer. Jeff, what do you got for platformer?
I mean, industry standard, the classic Mario.
Yeah.
I'm maybe a little bit less with the more modern 3D ones, but like definitely like the 2D, and I would even say like Mario 64.
Yeah.
I don't know that you can call like Mario Galaxy a platformer specifically, because there's not so much platforming as it is spheres that you're running around to get to the next sphere.
Okay.
Certain levels definitely have. Odyssey has a lot more platforming, like actual platforms and stuff, to the point where they recreated a Donkey Kong board at one point.
Oh, cool.
For me, personal favorite, probably a tie between Super Mario Bros. 3 and Sonic the Hedgehog 3.
Okay, those are both good. Sonic 3 was Knuckles, right? Sonic and Knuckles.
Sonic 3 is Sonic the Hedgehog 3, and then if you got Sonic and Knuckles, you could open the top of the cartridge and stack Sonic 3 on top of it.
Oh, okay.
The top of the cartridge had a reader that would read the Sonic 3 cartridge, and then you got like, it was basically like add-on DLC for the game.
Oh, okay.
It would stand alone as its own game, and then it would let you play as Knuckles in Sonic.
Oh, neat. Okay. Yeah, I totally agree. Mario is definitely the top one there. I also wrote down Sly Cooper, Cuphead, and then Spyro as personal favorites.
Like the PlayStation, and then like I would say earlier, the PlayStation 2 was just filthy with platformers.
Oh yeah.
Jack and Daxter is a great one for me too.
Yeah, I like the first game. I tried Jak 2 and I couldn't get into it. I just like ugh. If I had to pick a favorite, oh god, even the 3 I just listed, that's tough. I'm leaning towards Cuphead. I know that's insane because of how difficult that game can be, but it was also funny just being like, just the flip outs and frustrations, whether it's myself or others playing that. But also Sly has a great story for those 4 games, and why they stopped making them, I don't know.
Mega Man also.
Yeah, I sucked at those. Did not make it far.
Excellent. That's one of the things. Like the 2D platformers are a lot easier. This is why they've gotten a resurgence with like Super Meat Boy and Celeste and things like that.
Super Meat Boy is another difficult AF one.
I didn't say it's not difficult.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Like you don't have to take into account the camera, so like you can make the actual levels.
Right.
Like they don't have to be as forgiving because you don't have to like deal with a wonky camera.
Rainbow asks if Crash Bandicoot is a platformer. Yes, absolutely, Crash Bandicoot is a platformer. Yeah, I think I put Sly as my favorite, but that's once again just the story. Insomniac, please. Oh well, no, I think they handed it off to Sanzuru Games. Sanzuru, wake up. Sly Cooper, you put out 20th anniversary merch. Why are you teasing us? Anyways. Best, or not best, but next genre, fighting game. Got any input for this one, Jeff?
I mean, we're going to industry standard. Like, it's got to be Street Fighter.
Yeah.
I personally prefer the characters in King of Fighters.
Okay.
Like Terry Bogard. Like, my introduction to that was the Fatal Fury movies, the anime movies. That's not to take anything away from Raul Julia's performance in the Street Fighter live-action film. The man is a legend and a god and should be revered, and everyone should have to watch that part of their education. She was scenery like nobody else. Street Fighter, though, like, that's still like one of the biggest tournaments. It's been like they've had tournaments ever since, like, you know, the original arcades. Super Smash Brothers, obviously, although I think the first Smash Brothers game had something that the rest of them lacked. Like, they definitely got more serious. Like, in the first one, when you smashed someone and they were low on health, they went flying.
Oh, yeah.
They only had to be like 60%, you know? And then suddenly everybody's like 800 pounds heavier in melee. So they're like, you hit them no matter how much damage it is, you know. I haven't played the new one. It's not new at this point.
Oh, really? Huh.
I kind of just stopped playing. Well, I moved to a town that I don't have anybody that I know, and I don't like playing.
Road trip.
If I lose a fight, I want to be able to physically assault the person doing it.
Okay, maybe cancel the road trip.
Yeah. Accuse them of cheating, you know? I had a friend once in high school. We were playing Tekken something or other, I don't know. And I kept, like, we were playing a bunch of matches against each other. And he kept switching characters, and I kept playing the guy with the really tall hair.
Oh.
He got super pissed off. He's like, you can't keep playing the same guy. That's the only reason you're winning. Like, yeah, because I've never played one of these games, and I don't want to, like, I don't want to eat everything on the table. I want to see if I actually like this one thing before I move on to the next dish. Mortal Kombat, yeah, I guess, as well. But I think, like, Street Fighter is the one that, like, you know... Okay, well, anybody sees Scorpion, they're going to recognize Scorpion. Most people see Ryu, they're going to recognize Ryu. Smash Brothers doesn't count because, you know, everyone's going to recognize Smash Brothers anyways. It has nothing to do with Smash Brothers. So, yeah, I'm going to say industry standard. I'm going with Street Fighter. That's personal favorite. Probably Jaxu. No, that's a terrible game. Probably King of Fighters for me personally, but I haven't played one in a long time. Again, I just really like the characters, Terry Bogard and Rugal and Kyo Kusanagi. There is a game, I don't even remember what console it's for. It's based off a side-scrolling space shooter series.
Okay.
It's called, I don't think it actually got an official release here in America. It's like Sho Aniki Beautiful Fighter, and it's like, you can take the most, like, one of the characters is a naked dude in half the moon, and at least two of them are women that are battleships. Like, their body is like a battleship, and they have arms and, like, boobs that stick out of the battleship, and, like, there's different, like, their arms and legs are different parts of the ship. I'll send you a thing later.
Okay.
It's just, on the weirdness scale, it's like I've never seen anything quite like that.
Sure.
It's like all the dudes are either hiding their nudity or only wearing a thong.
The dichotomy of man.
One of the ships is like, it's clearly supposed to be a pleasure cruise, and there's like little dudes in thongs all over it.
Okay.
Like, the crew is just giant, oily, mostly naked dudes. Like, it's a weird game. It's just a straight up fighting game. That's all it is. So.
I think I'd have to 100% agree that industry-wise, or at least the top one, yeah, Street Fighter, just how recognizable it is. I know they've had their ups and downs with how the games are. Very excited for 6 coming out. It looks like they're adding a bunch of things to it and kind of listening to the audience. But there's a wide array of games that I will shout out here for the fighting game franchise. If you don't know, I love fighting games. Am I good at them? I would say no, but just enjoy people who, really dive into it and playing them myself. Like you said, just the couch co-op aspect of like just yelling at your friends, whether, you won or you lost, whatever happened, just is a lot of fun. The online aspect, take it or leave it, but so yeah, Mortal Kombat, Marvel vs. Capcom, King of Fighters 13, Injustice 1 and 2. I've heard Skullgirls is fantastic. Killer Instinct is great. Dragon Ball Fighters was amazing when that came out, except for all the 800 Goku clones we got. Smash Bros, like you mentioned. Multiverses, which I know is new, but that's a lot of fun. Totally unexpected there. Yeah, Mortal Kombat was something special. Just I hadn't really played one until Mortal Kombat 10 or MKX. Once again, it was a similar situation where just content creators I was watching, I was like, oh, this is really cool. And I got into it and learned the characters and learned, the story that they were telling there. So when it continued into Mortal Kombat 11, I was head on into that, going back and playing 9, which is like this recap of the originals with this twist to the story. The universe there is great. And then NetherRealm continuing, obviously, what they do best with Injustice 1 and 2. While Injustice 1, I think the story was fantastic and obviously built for 2. Injustice 1 wasn't as fun, but what 2 brought to the table, I just loved and enjoyed. The tower modes and the different armor sets that you could equip to your heroes and kind of customize them there. They tried to bring it to 11, which I've talked on numerous past podcasts of how that customization sucked. But I love what NetherRealm has done, and I'm anxiously awaiting what the fuck is next, whether it's Mortal Kombat 12, whether it's Injustice 3, whether it's something new. I'm excited for what they're bringing to the table. It's hard not to say Mortal Kombat is the top favorite here, but I think I have to go to the roots, and I think I have to go to Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Just the arcades.
Have that as a cabinet?
So, okay, the dream was always Marvel vs. Capcom 2 cabinet. I want that. I never thought it would be practical because Disney and Marvel and Capcom, obviously all the licensing there, they're all like Marvel vs. Capcom 2 hasn't had a release since the digital versions, which we'll get into later. Or no, that's a different topic for another day. Since the digital releases on 360 PS3, the last physical I believe was on the PlayStation 2 era, and since then they kind of got wiped. They got wiped from the digital front. You couldn't buy them anymore. Obviously, if you had them, you could play them. So we thought Marvel vs. Capcom 2 was dead. And then Arcade 1-Up releasing the Marvel vs. Capcom 2 cabinet, I was like, fuck! Because I bought the Marvel vs. Capcom 1 cabinet, and I was like, all right, I guess this will we'll settle with this. But the MVC 2 cabinet had most of the same games. Obviously, it had Marvel 2, so I was like, that's not really a justifiable purpose. I joked around with Lady, like, can we get it? And it sold out.
Anytime there's a big sale on them, yeah, I go to Sarah, like, Lisa, may I have some more?
Right. But that thing apparently sold out like nobody's business, which I'm not surprised. So I don't know if they'll do more like a second wave or what they'll do. So yeah, anyways, Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is the favorite. I bumped you up, don't worry. Yeah, just playing that in the arcade, not knowing what the fuck I was doing, but obviously, knowing the Marvel superheroes there, Spider-Man punching and flipping around, and then learning more about the Capcom side and the Street Fighter side of things and those characters, and Dad taking pity on me and playing with me in the arcade from time to time. Just a lot of good memories there, so I think that would be the personal favorite for me, even though Mortal Kombat and Injustice, those stories, fantastic.
I'll say this about Mortal Kombat. I think the first one came out when I was 6 or 7, maybe 5. And then by the time I was in like 5th grade, like Mortal Kombat 3, or like the time Mortal Kombat 3 came out, like, I was young enough. I was still, I think, in elementary school, but like the really nice thing about that is if you could draw one of the ninjas, you could suddenly draw half of the cast of the game. You just had to change the color,
right,
and change what was shooting out of their hand.
Mm-hmm.
So it was very much a Power Rangers thing. Like, which ninja's your favorite? Well, what's your favorite color? Okay, he's your favorite.
That's another great fighting game. Fucking Power Rangers Battle for the Grid. Small, independent group. Well, I mean, obviously the Power Rangers license is not independent, but the developers were independent. Small roster start, which I hated, but they've added and given some TLC to that game, and wow, gameplay. Great. Anyways, sorry. Moving over to beat 'em ups. Okay. I had probably Streets of Rage is probably the most well-known, I would say. I had Simpsons Arcade as a shout-out, and then I think my top favorite is Comic Zone. Never really got far into that game as a kid, but it was fun.
Oh, I mean, it's hard to beat. I beat it. Yeah, I got both endings.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Well, one is the ending where you win, but you don't win in time, and the other one's where you win.
Oh, okay.
Because they decided to add a timer to the boss fight. No, are you done?
Yeah, I'm all good. Yeah.
Okay. I was gonna say, yeah. So I loved Comic Zone as a kid. Great game, really unique. That I'm surprised they never did another thing like that. I mean, like, you gotta go, and again, this is me showing my age. You've got like going all the way back to like River City Ransom and Double Dragon. Bimmy and Jimmy. And then, like, especially getting to the end of that game, and then you like have to fight each other.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, what the fuck, is one of them secretly the boss of the gangs? Just been dismantling his own men. My personal favorite is probably, I mean, does the Dead Rising series count as beat 'em up?
Not in a 2D sense, but I could definitely see it. I mean, there's just
yeah.
a shit ton of zombies.
Probably Scott Pilgrim.
Okay.
Or the new River City Girls game. River City Girls was a lot of fun. Scott Pilgrim was a lot of fun. Oh, you know what? Castle Crashers.
Great choice.
Castle Crashers. Yep. Although there is one, and I can't be my favorite because I only ever got to play it once, because it got a super limited American release, and it only got released in arcades as far as I know. And even like looking it up on YouTube is really difficult. It was an arcade game where you were robots who were ninjas, who were baseball stars as well.
Oh!
Their moves and attacks were baseballs.
Wait.
And it was called...
Is that Lethal League?
No.
Oh, shit. Never mind.
Called Ninja Baseball Bat.
Okay.
And the story behind it is that the Japanese team that developed it, Google, like, whatever the version of Google was when this came out, Googled what the three most popular things in America for kids were, and it was ninjas, baseball, and Batman. And they made a game around those. And it was an awesome side scroller. Like, you had like this main guy who was like red and he had one bat, and then you had like a big fat guy who had like a giant catcher's mitt that was like a shield, and then you had like the guy in between the middle who was super skinny, but he had two bats. That he could like. It was a lot of fun. I probably sunk like $20 in quarters to that in one night, shivering in the like at the edge of the pool at some hotel somewhere where I was a kid, and I never saw it again. Never seen it anywhere else. But yeah, probably Castle Crashers I would say is my favorite, and then like what the current industry stand. It's hard to say because like it's getting a little bit of a like side scroller beat 'em ups. It didn't get any love for a lot of time, and then like they re-released Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Like I said, they're doing a bunch of the River City Girls games, to the point where like they're releasing one that never got released here in the U.S. from like Super Famicom.
Oh, cool.
There's a bunch of like YouTubers that did voices for the new River City Girls game that came out. There's another one. Industry standard though, probably I'm gonna say Double Dragon. That one got a movie. Terrible, terrible, terrible movie.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Moving over to stealth games. Jeff, what would you have for stealth?
I mean, industry standard is a hard one because, like, when I think stealth, there's a couple things I think of. Like, okay, is it like agent stealth? Because then it's like the what's the one with the guy with the 3 green lights?
Oh, Splinter Cell.
Yeah, Splinter Cell. I was about to say, like, they used to do like not spy versus spy, but something like that on like G4 or X Play, where they like did like whatever the fuck, like video, whatever machinations. I can't think of what it's called. I would say like the new Hitman games are a combination of stealth and puzzle. Thief, like the Thief Deadly Shadow series, all about stealth. I'm gonna say for me though, what I would say, well, definitely my personal favorite, going to be, Dishonored. Dishonored series. Because you can play the game without anybody ever seeing you, would be good enough. And never killing anybody. Industry standard though for stealth, that's a tough one. Battleship? Literally the board game Battleship? I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. This one was definitely tougher. I think what I had listed was more just like games that had stealth mechanics to it. So I had Dishonored written down as well. I had Alien Isolation. I had The Last of Us. I had the Sly Cooper series and the Assassin's Creed. So I would lean towards Assassin's Creed being the most notable.
I've played the last couple of Assassin's Creed. Stealth is definitely...
It's gone away.
Rest as an option.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I sacked an entire village as an assassin Viking. There was no stealth.
Right.
I was running around with a giant flaming axe. A flaming golden axe. There was no stealth when I did that.
Yeah.
Those poor chickens.
Yeah. I guess I'd lean towards Dishonored 2 as a favorite, even though I haven't beaten either of them, but we've talked about it before. I really enjoy the world and how it looks. I just am terrible at it.
You did Deathloop. Doesn't that have a fair amount?
Thank you for bringing that up, because it just popped in my head. Yeah, Deathloop is really good. Yeah, okay, all right, fuck it. Scratch it. Deathloop is my favorite, because, yeah, I played that one all the way through. I did enjoy the story. No, I'm not going to say that, because that could be spoiler. Because I know you haven't played it. If you know, you know. Really enjoyed the gameplay there. Really enjoyed the characters. Yeah, it does have those aspects, obviously, of the Dishonored where you can stealth it. But then, obviously, if shit does hit the fan, you can deal with it. Yeah, Deathloop is really good. Thank you for reminding me of that. That is definitely top. All right. Survival genre. Another one we kind of like. It's one of those overlaps. That's weird, because I had Minecraft again.
I haven't been on that kick for the last year and a half.
Because I had Minecraft again, and then I had Don't Starve as my favorite. But that was all I had listed.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely played more of them than you. So, like, in the last year, I've done The Long Dark, Green Hell. The more than I can think of, honestly. There are like Raft. There are so many games that have like survival. I think my first experience with survival mechanics was Fallout New Vegas, playing it in survival mode, where like you had to maintain like food and water levels, and like bullets had weight and things like that, so you can just run around with unlimited ammo. For me, personal favorite is probably going to be The Long Dark. Definitely The Long Dark. I love that game. It's weird and crazy and jumps all over the place, and sometimes you're playing as one person and then suddenly you're playing as the next after like they got blown up and you don't know what's going on, and you have to play through a whole episode, and then you have to wait 2 damn years for the next one. Industry standard for survival right now? I mean, if I'm talking about the one that's been the biggest the last couple years, I'm probably going to say Subnautica.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because it's got the building mechanics, it's got food and water, you have to hunt, cook, make things, all that kind of stuff. It's not as spooky as I like. The Forest is the other one. And Sons of the Forest is coming out, so I can't wait to see where that goes. I'm really looking forward to that.
Mm-hmm.
Supposedly it's coming out. It was supposed to be out by now, but I guess we'll see.
All right. We got 2 more genres. Let's talk about rhythm games. So,
no, I have none.
No?
Rhythm, I mean. So.
Oh, okay. So I think for favorites, I gotta go Beat Saber. Beat Saber is just a lot of fun. I only played it on the PlayStation side of things, so like you only get the limited amount of songs. They had DLC, obviously they added licensed music. So, but I feel on like the Steam PC side of things, obviously I don't know if it's mods or however the track list works there, but I feel like the freedom is a million times more on that side of things. But that was just a blast.
I'm UPC
playing. And then I would say just most recognizable, I mean, probably where it all started.
What's your Master Race doing with those graphics cards now?
Maybe not where it started, but I'd say Guitar Hero. I mean, DDR is another huge one that's still going.
I was gonna say.
But
that's where it started.
Yeah.
Although to the point where like I have NES games that have a floor pad controller that's just the DDR pad.
Oh, okay.
It came out in the 80s. I would say like industry standard for me, in my opinion, still definitely DDR because like, I mean, it's still impressive if you see someone like at a DDR.
Oh yeah.
You know.
That guy or gal has spent a lot of time there. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Personal favorite rhythm game? I'm gonna say Crypt of the Necrodancer.
Okay.
And then the Crypt of the Necrodancer, the Zelda one.
Oh, Cadence of Hyrule?
Cadence, yes. That's a lot of fun, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that game, those are both a lot of fun. And it's, it's just like, you just gotta get the buttons right and everything. But like, you're doing it to Zelda music. It's just, I'm doing it like right now. I can't help it.
All right, and then our last genre is Battle Royale. Another one I know you play a shit ton of.
Yeah, I'll let you go first.
Okay. So we got Fortnite, we got Apex Legends, we got Fall Guys, we got PUBG. Man, PUBG, what a fall from grace. PUBG was fun. It's a lot of sitting around and waiting. And boy, did that Xbox version not work. If they fixed it in the past couple of years, good for them, but never gone back to that. I've tried Call of Duty Warzone. I suck ass at it, so I like watching people play it. Apex is great. I haven't played it in the past couple seasons, aka like a year. I need to or want to dive back into that, but I do enjoy the character aspect that they did bring to Apex Legends, just the variety of skills that they do have and abilities. Fall Guys was a big surprise, I think, for everybody when that launched, just how fun that game could be. I know Jeff and we tried playing it, but
I call it a battle royale.
I mean, it kind of is. It's 60 beans, jump in, one survivor.
You don't have any like in-game design combat against people.
You can grab them.
That's like saying Kirby's Epic Mealtime is battle royale.
There's only 4 of you. That's like a party game.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Fortnite takes the cake both for probably favorite and industry. Yeah. Yeah, just the amount of hours that a lady and I have spent playing Fortnite, way too many. For something that I never thought I would get into, it's a blast. Whether it's obviously playing with a lady or the few times I have played with some other people in squads, or going to shout out back to TwitchCon 2018, competing in that and getting my ass whooped. But it's been a lot of fun. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, industry standard, obviously, I gotta say probably Fortnite as well. Although, would you? No, I was gonna say, would you call Among Us a bit? Nah, not really.
Mm-mm.
There's one person hunting everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Personal favorite, like I'm not that good at those games, honestly. Like, there's always somebody better, and I don't have the patience. Like, as soon as it requires like patience to learn and get good, I'm more like, how can I fuck with the game? And then I end up running around just like doing dances and giving people things. Or seeing if I can break the dance animation so that I'm stuck in the animation but still moving around. I did that once. It was super fun. I will say though, if they made an Apex Legends with the Titans from the Titanfall universe, like instead of don't give me people running around. That's not. I didn't buy Titanfall 2 to be a person. I did it to control a giant robot. Give me Gundam.
But there was a person in the robot.
Yeah. And those were the parts I didn't like. It was when it was the person not controlling the robot.
Fair enough.
I don't want the Flash Gundam. I want the real Gundam.
All right. Well, there's our video game genre discussion. So moving on to topic.
Comment on anything that we forgot.
Any
genres that slipped our minds, or your. So
there you go.
You gotta work. You gotta do crowd work, man.
What's that? Moving on.